Hi, this is problem 931. A toy car travels a distance of 10t squared. So that formula right here represents the distance in the first t seconds. So in the first however many seconds. They didn't tell us how many exactly here yet. After it starts, calculate the average velocity. We agreed that the velocity has something to do in the change in distance over the change in time, right? Oh my god, terrible triangles. There we go. So agreed that the velocity is the change in distance over the change in time of the car on these intervals. So they're giving us time intervals, right? And actually they told us change in distance divided by change in time. So they actually told us that this is what we should do. So if the time is 3 seconds, what is the distance? So well, use the formula. And I made a table for you right here to help you out. So if the time is 3 seconds, well, 3 squared is 9. 9 times 10 is 90, right? And if the time is 4, I'm calculating on this interval from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. 4 squared is 16, and 16 times 10 is 160. Now, I am aware that they gave you B, C, D, E, F. The same thing you should do for all of them. I'm going to just do one for you. And now even question 932 has something to do with question 931 and has to do with the limits that we did today in class. Yeah. So, for example, question 932 is telling us, well, what was the velocity exactly at 3 seconds? Well, from this question, if I do A, B, C, D, E, F, as they requested, I'm approaching a number for my velocity if I calculate it over all of the intervals. So I'll let you work out the rest, but I will show you this as an example to help you get started as you requested. Yeah? So let's write it out. So if I use those points, so distance over time, so if I do distance 160 minus 90 over 4 minus 3, I'll get 70 feet, because distance is on top, feet per 1 second, right? 4 minus 3 is 1. So the good thing to notice here is that you must include a unit for your answer. And I got a question today, I think, 90, why didn't I do 90 minus 160? Well, that's fine if you do 90 minus 160, but then you have to do 3 minus 4. Because if you go in this direction, you have to be aware that you also go in the same direction. Yeah, so we agreed on that using the slopes, if you remember, and we agreed that the average velocity actually represents the slope. So I have one point, and I have the second point, and I'm just getting the slope when they say average velocity. Now, for the rest of it, I'll let you work it out, but you're always welcome to ask me in class if you get stuck on any of them. All right, let's move on to the next question. Next question, I'm going to do question 935. I will not do, however, question number 933, which has something to do with slopes. The reason is because I believe that you can do it after I gave you some ideas now with the videos and worked out harder questions for you. So 933, I believe you can do that one because we did harder than questions in class. Also, if you can do 933, then you should be able to do 934. So if you get stuck on 933 or 934 in class, I can help you for sure. But I want you to try on them because if you can do the previous problem, that you could do 933 and 934. So try it out. Now 935, it says consider the equation y equals e to the x and sketch a graph and find the average rate of change over the following intervals. So we agreed rates of change, average rates of change. We're talking about the slope here, right? So if I like put line tangent to this, what is the slope of that line at each point? Okay, well, first of all, that's the graph of y equals e to the x, and now I will work out an average rate of change on one interval. So they gave you the intervals 0 to 0.1, and 1 to 1.1, and 2 to 2.1. So what you do is you just take that x value and plug it in to get the y, and I did that for you to get the points. I rounded some of them. So that's fine, but it will affect your answers because you rounded early. But that's fine, that's close enough. So if you see in the packet that one, maybe they didn't round early, if you do from the interval 2 to 2.1, so I'll do 8.2 minus 7.4 over 2.1 minus 2, as I did in the previous problem. I'll get 8. In the packet it says 7.77, so maybe they didn't round as early as I did here, but it's fine. So on the other intervals, I want you to try it out yourselves. So now you have a hint here how to do it. How would I do the interval from 1 to 1.1? How would I do from 0 to 0.1? Following the same steps. So try it out. Now I want to talk to you about another problem which also has something to do with slopes. So notice this video I'm just talking about slopes here. 936. So they gave you also A, B, C, D, E, F, and for A they said, well, this is the function and I want from the interval 2 to 3. So on the interval from 2 to 3. So I did the table for you. I said, okay, 2 and 3. Well, for 2, I plug it in, get the y value. For 3, plug it in, get the y value. And I have those 2 points. Now I can calculate the slope or the average rate of change and figure out if it's positive or negative. So 9 minus 4 is 5. 3 minus 2 is 1. 5 divided 1. Those are positive numbers. So my answer is positive. So let's make sure that we understand that the average rate of change, when they ask for that, they're asking for the slope. Agreed? So for this video, all of the problems that I stated are talking about slopes. Yeah, so I have, I know you can do it, so I want you to try. Alright, let's move on. Now for problem 939, it's not talking about slopes, but I will provide you with some information to help you. Problem 939, they're saying the manufacturing company you work for has been hired to produce 100 cubic foot boxes. So 100 of these boxes over here that I drew. Very pretty drawing that I did. It must have a square base and no top. So the base right here is square, so all of the sides are the same length. So I call them X, 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 and the height I call it H. But there is no top. Yeah, the material for the base costs $3 per square foot. So for X squared, it's $3. Not per foot, but square foot. So for X squared, it's $3. Also, they said the side or the height, you can call it S or H. It costs $1 per square foot. So for H squared, it's $1. We want to write an equation for the cost of the box as a function of X. And the first question said, write an expression for the cost of the base in terms of X. Well, let's do that. So the base area is X squared because it's a square, X times X, or side times side, right? So the cost of the base, well, we agreed that for each X squared is $3. So it's 3X squared. So that's my first equation for question A. Now, they're asking us for B, express the cost of the sides in terms of X and H. So let's do that part. If you notice, the side consists of X, and this is X as well, and this is height. So it's kind of a rectangle, right? Where this is X and this is H, right? So the area here is base times height, so X times H, right? So if I do X times H, that's the area of the side, but what's the cost of the side? Well, I have $3 for each square foot of this, and $1 for each square foot of this. So what's the total amount of dollars? 4. Yeah, so that's the side. So that's question B. Now question C, express the total cost of the box in terms X and H. So the total cost is just we're adding the base and the side, right? So 3x squared plus 4xh. And that's the answer to question C. It's just all together. And now for question D, they said the volume is 100 feet cubed, which actually I stand corrected. When I read the problem, they said to produce a 100 cubic foot box. I didn't see that A, or maybe I just didn't pay attention to that A 100 cubic foot box. I said 100 cubic foot boxes or something like that. So I thought there are 100 boxes and there is a letter A. So which actually is a good thing to learn from, that you always want to pay attention to that A or an or just everything in the word problem while you're reading it. So I stand corrected for that. I'm sorry. So the volume is 100 feet cubed. So they give us the volume. Well, the volume is equal to length times width times height. So the length is x and the width is x as well, because this is squared down here. And the height is h. So x times h would give me x squared h right there. Or we can say it's the area of the base times the height, where the base is a square. So x squared times h, because the area of the base is x squared. Okay, so now I know that the volume is 100, so I can substitute that. So by substituting that in and solving for h, I get that h is 100 over x squared. Now they want this formula from this equation from question C in terms of x. So they want us to replace that h with x. So we can do that. 3x squared plus 4x times 100 over x squared. And then the x here will cancel with one of the x's here, and you'll get 3x squared plus 4 times 100, which is 400 over x, which is the answer in your packet, right? So that's 939. Graph the equation and find the value for x, which gives the minimum cost. And what is the minimum cost? All right. So to graph this function, you can either plot points and do it manually, or you can use a graphing calculator, as we agreed. It is a good investment to buy one. So in that case, for example, I used a graphing calculator, but you can definitely do it manually like I did the other problems that I showed in the other videos. What I did also is I got the x-intercept manually, just to show you that you can get more points here, you can get points here. The good thing to know is actually at this y-axis right here at x equals 0, and this is an asymptote, so I knew that the graph wouldn't touch here, and I know the x-intercept, so I can plug points right there, and also on the positive x-axis to figure out what my graph looks like. The reason why there is an asymptote, because if x is 0 right here, that would set this part of this term to be undefined, and obviously we don't want that, so that's an asymptote. So it is an undefined value right here, right? So we can't have y values. Okay, to get the minimum, you either need to know the derivatives, which we will get to. I know we didn't get to that yet in the semester, but when you know the derivatives, you can figure out this easily algebraically. But since we don't know that, you can do some tracing, or you can use your table. If you said this value is 4, when you do a table, you plug in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you feel, oh, 4 is the minimum right here. It shows on your graph that it's around 4, but I traced on a graphing calculator, I got an accurate answer. But if you say 4 and gave me a close enough answer, I will accept that when you do it manually. All right, I hope that helps. Thank you.